There are men in the world who have passed through fire so many times that the fire no longer scares them. John Wick was one of them. A former assassin so devastating, so mythologically precise, that the criminal underworld had given him a name beyond his own, Baba Yaga, the boogeyman. Not a title given in mockery, but in something closer to reverence laced with dread. He had earned that name through years of carnage, and then, against all reason, he had stepped away from it. He had fought his way free, completed the impossible task Vigo Tarasov had set before him, and reclaimed his life. That life had been stolen from him. He had taken it back violently and completely. And now it was supposed to be over. It was not over. The world John came from does not release its own. It only waits, patient as stone, for the moment to reach back in and pull. That moment arrived at his front door, not as grief this time, but as obligation. Santino D'Antonio came with a marker, a blood oath, pressed into a wax coin, bearing John's own mark. Years earlier, John had made a promise to Santino to earn his freedom. Now, Santino had come to collect. He wanted his sister dead, Gianna D'Antonio, a member of the High Table. He wanted her seat, her power. John refused. Santino burned his house to the ground. He destroyed everything John had rebuilt. Every wall, every room, every quiet corner where John had tried to bury who he used to be. The marker, however, could not be refused. To dishonor a blood oath in this world is to invite consequences without sealing or mercy. Winston, the manager of the Continental in New York, made it plain. John had no choice. He traveled to Rome, to the catacombs beneath the city, elegant and ancient and pitiless. He fulfilled the contract, he kept his word, and in doing so, stepped back into the very darkness he had escaped. But Santino had never intended to honor his side of it. He put a contract out on John the moment the deed was done. What Santino did not understand, what no one who made that mistake ever seemed to understand, was who John Wick actually was. The High Table knew. Winston knew. Every serious operator in that world knew, and they watched, and they waited to see what would happen next. What happened was inevitable. John came back to New York, and the city became a hunting ground. Cassian, Gianna's head of security, came for him first. A professional of the highest order, relentless and righteous in his fury, and still John moved through him and past him and kept going. Santino activated the $7 million open contract. Every assassin in the city had John's face. They came in waves. Every single one of them fell. John moved through the city like a force of physics, choosing each next step with a cold and terrible clarity. He armed himself through the Continental's network, bespoke weapons fitted to his hand with the care of a tailor, tools chosen not in anger, but in absolute intention. He moved through the New York Continental, the one place in the world where the code demanded peace between killers, no business on the premises, no contracts within its walls. The Continental held for as long as it could hold. But Santino had never respected any code he could not bend to his own use. John adjusted accordingly. The body count rose. The price on John's head doubled, then doubled again. Assassins came from every direction. Some were trained, some were desperate. None of them were John Wick. Moving through a crowded concert hall in a cloud of strobing light, his short dark hair damp, his face carved into absolute focus beneath the noise and the chaos. He moved with a precision that had no name in any ordinary vocabulary. Each movement was architecture. Each decision was already made before anyone else in the room knew there was a decision to make. He was not fighting for survival. He was operating. He was not doing this out of hunger for blood. He was doing it because the world had given him no other door, and he knew exactly how to walk through this one. The final confrontation between the two men came inside the Guggenheim Museum, mirrors endlessly reflecting the moment back on itself. Two men in a world of infinite copies. Ari's, Santino's silent and deadly second, came at him with everything she had. It was not enough. Santino was different from the others. Santino believed that the rules of the High Table made him untouchable. He retreated into the Continental itself, certain that the code would protect him. John was bleeding, his dark suit shredded at the seams, rain and sweat pressing his hair flat against the lines of his face. His jaw was set, his eyes fixed, his hands still steady. But John was still John Wick. Santino did not walk away. What John was left with when it was over was not freedom. It was exile. He was alive. He was excommunicado. Winston had no choice but to strip him of the Continental's protection, giving him 1 hour's head start out of respect for what they had once been to each other. Not a pardon, nothing in that world ever was, but a single breath before the storm, before every contract in existence would carry his name. John Wick walked out of the Continental and into a city that had just been turned against him entirely, his dog at his side. The high table's reach was total. Every operator, every killer, every shadow in the network now had one name, and that name was John Wick.